Hey guys, Chart Stopper's back with another video. In this channel, we take a look at different stocks and map out their key support and resistance areas on their chart. It's important to know these areas before buying any stock, and it's also important to know what kind of a trend a stock is in before you buy into it. Support and resistance is one of the most important things you should know about a stock before you either buy or sell. Also, if you're doing any day trading, swing trading, or options, you're definitely going to want to get familiar with support and resistance. Just to let you guys know, I'm not a financial expert. These videos are for educational purposes only, but I am here to point out key factors on the charts which do impact the price action of a stock. I also provided a link in the description for Webull. You could use that to start an account and get 2 free stocks. And I also provided a link for Robinhood. You could use that to start an account and get 1 free stock. Also, just to let you guys know, I will be doing 3 videos per week on 3 different stocks. So if you have a recommendation for a stock you want me to do, please leave a comment below and I'll try to get to it. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. Okay, so let's get into the video we are doing today. First, let me give you an update on the market today. It was a mixed day in the market. The Dow was up almost a full percent, 0.92%. The S&P 500 was up 0.13%, and the NASDAQ was down a little more than 0.5%, 0.59%. So it was a mixed day overall. We saw the 10-year bond yield jump over 1.6. So that caused a little bit of a mixed reaction in the market, and it caused the NASDAQ to drop at one point, I think, over 1.5%, but then we regained some of those losses throughout the day. So today I wanted to provide an update on Apple. So let me get into the chart here. Apple's been on a pretty big downtrend in the past, since the beginning of the year, actually. Since the beginning of 2021, as you could see right here. On January 25th, it actually hit its all-time high of $145.09, and ever since then, it has been on a huge downtrend. It has dropped all the way down to, at one point, let's see here, it dropped down to a low of 116.21 on March 8th during the correction. So as of right now, today is March 12th, 2021. Today it's trading at $121.03. It's down 93 cents on the day, which is 0.76%. After hours, it's down another 3 cents, which is 0.02%. So like I said earlier, I already have the chart mapped out here, our support and resistance, because this is a update on a video I did earlier on. I did a full technical analysis on this chart. If you want to see it, I will provide a link to the video I did on the full technical analysis. I'll provide it in the upper right-hand corner right now. And if you want to take a look at that, you can. But right now, we'll just take a look at this chart and update it after the correction has happened and while we're still going through it. We're not out of the woods yet, especially with this stock, because we have not seen this thing start a recovery yet since it has been on a downtrend. And as you could see right here, we haven't seen it break out yet from the downtrend it's been on, and I'm not sure if it's going to. So you could see here we hit that all-time high right before earnings on January 25th. We actually saw good earnings come out on the 27th. And ever since then, for some reason, this stock has just been selling off ever since those good earnings came out. There's really no explanation. They came out with great earnings for the fourth quarter of 2020. And, their dividend came up on the 5th of February. And it just hasn't been doing well ever since then. It's just been selling off, and then this correction has not helped things out at all for this stock. It's just been continuing to downtrend. We came off that all-time high, broke our 50-day moving average, and after that, we broke the $130 support right here, and it just kept dropping and dropping, and we got to our $120 support, which really nobody thought it was going to break that. Even during the correction, a lot of analysts were coming out and saying it's not going to drop below $120. because that was very strong support at this point for this stock. And we did see it drop below that $120 support, and it dropped all the way down to $116.36, like I said, on March 8th, and that's where it closed at that day. Actually, the low was 116.21, but it closed at 116.36 that day, and it's only recovered a little bit since then. It hasn't really made the big jump back like we've seen in a lot of other stocks ever since that low of the correction. So ever since that low of the correction, we've seen a lot of stocks regain pretty much like 10% or so, give or take. But, when you saw this all-time high right here to this low, that was about a 20% correction. And for Apple, that is a big-time correction for a stock like this. This stock has a $2 trillion market cap, so you don't see a 20% correction like that too often in a stock like this. I mean, this is huge for this. And to see it not bounce back like that, we've only seen it come back about 4% since then. And, we've seen it give up another 0.5%, almost 1% today. So it's just not looking good for Apple right now. We really, if you see a big drop like that, you're looking for a big bounce back off that, and you just didn't see it with Apple. You saw a little bit of a bounce back, but now you're seeing it, bounce all the way back down, and it's starting to trend back downwards. So you're not seeing that nice back bounce and trend back up like you're seeing in a lot of other stocks after this correction. So what are we looking at on this chart here? Well, we're looking at this thing moving towards the 200-day moving average. So that's going to be our next technical support that we're going to be looking for. And our 200-day moving average is at 114.93. So right around $115 is what we're looking at for our next support area. And if it breaks that area, I have my next support line drawn at $112.50. As you can see on the chart right here, there is a gap on the daily chart. And like I always say on a daily chart, if you see a gap, it's not a good sign because, gaps, especially when they're lower than where the price is, because gaps usually have a tendency to fill in on charts. So you don't want to see that, when it's lower than the actual price of the stock, because they usually tend to fill themselves in. So especially a stock like this that's been on a downtrend for a while, ever since the end of January, this thing's looking like it's going to go fill that gap in right there. And I have my support set up right here at the top of that gap. So if it breaks the 200-day moving average, we're looking at So if it breaks the 200-day moving average, we're looking at this next support right here, that 112.50, as you can see, which was a former support area over here, back in here. We're looking at that to be our next support to hold up. And if that doesn't hold up, then we have a big drop over here. You see we have a big gap to our next support. And that's going to be huge to see if this holds up if we do make it down here. Okay, so we're going to be looking at that if it does come down to that. So if we lose that support right there, we're going to be looking all the way down to $103 for our next one. Let me zoom in here for you so we can get a closer look at what our former support was over here. We saw it, this was a support right here and right here. We only had 2 touches off that line, so that's the only support we had off of this 103 area. So that's our next support that we're looking at. So that's going to be a big jump from 112 all the way down to 103. That's going to be a $9.50 drop if we do see that happen. So hopefully it doesn't come to that, but that is something to look at if it does come down to that. And then of course, if we do drop this support, The next stop, $100, will be our next support line. As you can see, it was a former resistance before it finally broke through right here on a good earnings report back in July of 2020. So that will be our last support that I'm going to put on here because I don't see this thing dropping below $100 anytime soon. That would just be way too big of a drop, and I'm not seeing Apple crashing that hard anytime soon. So I'm just going to stop right there with my support and resistance. If it does get close to that $100 support line, I will come on and update the video. So what I would be doing if I was trading this, I would be watching this right here. If it does drop below this 120, that's going to be huge. And, you know, you're going to be watching this next stop right here, 115, give or take, 114.93. If it drops below that 200-day moving average, then you're going to have big problems on your hands with this stock. It's not going to be looking good at that point. Then, you're in a huge downtrend with this thing if it drops below that 200-day moving average. Let me zoom out so you can see it hasn't dropped below that 200-day moving average since COVID-19 happened. And, even then that was only for a couple days right in here. So that would be very bad for this stock. But with the stimulus being passed, I don't see that happening. The only thing I could see at worst happening is probably it trading sideways in between this 120 and 130 channel. I mean, they do have earnings coming up at the end of April. I think around April 26th, I believe, somewhere around this area right here. So I wouldn't expect it to drop that low. But you never know what's going to happen in the market these days with this inflation data coming out in the next couple months and the volatility that's just happening. Every day it just seems like something new in the market that causes the stocks to drop or gain. It's crazy times in the market, and it's really hard to trade these days with all this volatility. So I'm definitely watching this 120 support. If it gets broken, that's going to be a big problem. And you're going to be watching that 200-day moving average next. But I think it's going to hold up this support. I think the stimulus is really going to help this stock with all the extra money coming into the market from that. And, with all the people, spending their stimulus checks on iPhones and new technology, it's really going to help this stock too. So, and, definitely with their earnings coming up, and you could see they have a dividend right after their earnings. So I think that's really going to help things out moving forward. And I don't see too much more of a drop with this, but you never know what could happen. So that's my video update on Apple. If you guys liked it, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time on Chart Stoppers.